Alright, what is up guys, Action Figure Addict 112 here, and we are finally going to be taking a look at the MAFEX Unbelievable Gwenpool. So this was the first figure from the Marvel Comics line that MAFEX started doing. I want to say probably last year, maybe last year or the year before that is when they really started doing these. Yeah, I want to say, yeah, it was 2018, excuse me, when they first started doing this, because Gwenpool was the first one, and then I think it was, I want to say it was Spider-Man, then Venom, then the Deadpool, and then, actually, no, I think it was Gwenpool, Miles Morales, then it was Spider-Man, then it was Venom, and then it was the Deadpool, and then they started doing the X-Men. But anyway, I knew that I wanted this particular figure because I'm a huge fan of Gwenpool. I didn't get into Gwenpool until my senior year in high school, but I really love Gwenpool. I love her character, and I love her comic. It's so out there, and her ability is just so interesting that, you know, it just has me intrigued, and had me intrigued at first, and then I fell in love with the character. You know, besides that, I really wanted to get this figure, you know, for that reason, and also the reason to review it, because one of the issues that I have is that there aren't a lot of reviews on this figure, and the one big person that reviewed this figure was Bug ACBA from the ACBA, or the Articulated Comic Book Art Facebook group, and this isn't knocking him or the group, but it got me a little twisted and a little pissed off when he reviewed this figure, because he absolutely trashed and thrashed this figure. It really annoyed me, not because that was his opinion, but he had, first of all, no idea who this character was, didn't know anything about her, and then trashed some of the choices of accessories and stuff. And when I get into the accessory part, it'll make more sense why she comes with the stuff that she comes with, and why overall this is a pretty cool figure, and definitely an upgrade from what Hasbro gave us. So with that being said, let's jump into this review and let's talk about Gwenpool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Gwenpool. So this character was created by Christopher Hastings and Chris Bacalo. Christopher Hastings was the one that actually was the writer for Gwenpool, and then the illustrator was Chris Bacalo. And the way that they came up with this character was really interesting. So basically, they were doing a lot, or Marvel was doing a lot of these Gwen Stacy variant covers during the time that I can't even remember what story it was. I want to say it was Secret Wars or something like that when they started doing this. But they were doing like a Gwen Stacy version of Captain America and a Gwen Stacy version of Iron Man, and all the different Marvel characters that are like Gwen Stacified. And they ended up doing one of like Deadpool, and she ended up being in this like pink and white and stuff like that, and people started to catch on, and they were getting interested in it, and you know, that variant cover started selling, and Marvel decided that, okay, well, she's starting to catch some traction, so we're gonna give her, we'll give her a trial run, and so they put her just to see if anyone was, or if she would get, you know, some type of fan traction, or a fan base would become of this, or, you know, she would become a popular character. And so they ended up putting her in the Howard the Duck, one of the Howard the Duck issues, as a special appearance. And after that comic came out, she caught a lot of traction and became popular enough to get her own comic series, and that ran for, I want to say, 15 issues, because Marvel basically pulled the plug on her, and for like probably some stupid ass reason, which I don't understand, because you know, her comics were selling, like they were selling perfectly fine, like people were buying her merch and stuff like that, so they weren't losing money from this. But yeah, she only got, I think, a 15 issue run, or like a 25 issue run, I want to say. Yeah, that's when I hopped on, or was aware that this character was a thing, and then I started reading the comics, and I was like, oh wow, you know what, I actually really like this character, and that's when I fell in love with Gwenpool, and that's where we are now. So with that being said, Gwenpool has only had 2 figures. She's had a few pops, I think, but I don't really do the pops. I do the figures because I can pose them multiple ways and stuff like that. So figure-wise, Gwen has only had 2 figures. She's had her Marvel Legends one from the Lizard Wave, and then she's got this one here, the MAFEX one. Hasbro really cheaped the fuck out on this Lizard one. But the Marvel Legends one holds a special place in my heart because my sister actually bought me this figure, and I can't get rid of something that she bought me because it holds value to me on a personal level. So, you know, but that being aside, as a figure, it's kind of shit because they went and did their own thing and tried to over-sexualize this figure because they gave her like the really, like the darkest, glossiest red lipstick lips that I've ever seen, and it just made her look like over-sexualized, and she had the whole Miley Cyrus tongue out the mouth thing, and I was like, okay, I'm not really feeling this. You know, at first I was like, okay, cool, I got a Gwenpool figure and that makes me happy, but I ended up getting a Marvel Legends 2-pack, the Into the Spider-Verse one with the Spider-Gwen and the Miles, and I sent the Miles I gave the Miles to someone else, and I kept the Gwen, and I went and I took the head and I chopped some of the hair off and I repainted the hair and ended up using that for my unmasked Gwenpool, and that's how she stayed for up until now. So, and I had to do a lot of painting for this Gwenpool. Like I had to repaint the soles of her shoes and the laces, and I had to even repaint her backpack because Hasbro couldn't have been fucked to actually paint it the right color. They went and painted it just like a black and white penguin with green straps, like some ugly ass green, or they were like brown, like ugly ass brown straps. And I was like, that's not even how her fucking backpack looks. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just paint it, repaint it, and see how that looks. And it came out really good for the most part. So that's the other figure that you'll see, because I'm gonna be comparing the two and showing you, you know, what Hasbro gave us and then what MAFEX gave us. Because what MAFEX gave us is a really good figure. It's a really, really good figure. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about the packaging first. Okay, so I want to talk about the box a little bit. Usually I don't cover the boxes when I do reviews, or I haven't as of recently. However, this gets an exception because this is one of the coolest fucking boxes I've ever got for an action figure. Basically, the outside, it's basically you get the figure in the regular box and it has a, what's it called, a sliding cover over it. And the sliding cover is just the fucking coolest, man. Like, I'm telling you, it's the coolest ever. And people didn't really, some people covered it when they did their reviews, but they didn't go in depth into it. But I figured I will, because it's something that caught my attention when I first started seeing like promotional pictures of this. So the actual like slip cover of it has a bunch of comic art from Gwenpool, and it's like on one side of it, it's her like kind of holding onto the box, and you can see it kind of tearing like a comic book page. And then the front of it has, you know, Gwenpool from the comics, and then there's like 4 different areas of Gwenpool on there. And then, you know, you'll see in the pictures, because I did take pictures to show you guys what I'm talking about. And then on the inside of this slipcover, there's multiple different panels from Gwenpool's actual comic and it's in the Guri style, the Guri Studio art style, which is the style that you see in the Gwenpool comics, which I was like, holy shit, this is dope. Because when we get, you know, import comic book figures, they don't go to this detail. It's like MAFEX really went all out with the packaging and made it feel like it's worth keeping. Because sometimes when you get an import figure and you get the box, sometimes it's just kind of to the point where you don't want to keep it and you just throw it away. This one I'm keeping because is that fucking dope. And then on the actual inside of the packaging that you get Gwenpool in with her accessories and her MAFEX stand, that also has a whole bunch of panels in there from the comics as well, and it's like, wow, this is actually kind of dope. And it's really similar to what Kyoto did with the Amazing Yamaguchi Harley Quinn, because with their Amazing Yamaguchi figures up until, I want to say from Psylocke, I want to say either it was Psylocke or it was Batman, is when they started doing the whole showing you, you know, panels and all this different art from that represents the figure. And whenever I do Harley's review, I'm going to be showing that too, because it's kind of dope for me, because, you know, I'm a comic book person, I'm a nerd, and it's cool when when companies actually give a fuck enough to actually give you, you know, a box that's worth keeping. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I think it's cool and I thought it was worth talking about. And then on the back, it's just product shots showing you the different accessories you get and some of the different things you can do with the figure and that. Yeah, it's just really dope, at least to me, and maybe, you know, people who are fans of Gwenpool's comics. I think it's dope. And it's definitely worth pointing out, this type of stuff. So yeah, with that being said and getting that out of the way, we're going to be taking a look, at the sculpt and the paint of this figure. So let's get into this. Okay. I need to fix the lighting so you guys can see. Okay. Oh man, so in terms of the sculpting and the painting, well, we'll look at the sculpting first. So in terms of the sculpting, it's on point, man. It is on point. It's exactly how she looks in the comics. She even has, like, it's so cool because it's the actual Guri Studio style that they did. Like I said, it's very manga, anime, like manga style art, and it's kind of dope. So in terms of her sculpting, they did a lot of really cool details. They sculpted the G really nicely on the little belt that she has. Sculpted little buttons on her little pockets, or I guess pouches, that are on her belt there. They sculpted the little buckle and the strap that's more of where her boobs are, I guess. She even has the little buckles around her her wrist guards. Her shin guards are also sculpted as well, and they're very pronounced. Her shoes are really cool too because they're sculpted with the laces, and the soles are sculpted too. They're like outline sculpted. And then the face, like the face is just on point. And when I get into the accessories, I'll talk about this too, because she actually came with her masked Gwenpool head on, one of the two masked Gwenpool heads on. So that's why I just went and popped this one on, because I wanted to see how it looked. And yeah, man, they did such a good job. It's such a good job. They even sculpted her hair perfectly, like how it is in the comics. And just her proportions are perfect, because this is exactly how she's built in the comics. Like, she's got the kind of tiny waist here, but it curves into her thighs, which in the comics are kind of thick, and they're kind of thick here, and then it goes into you know, the shin guards, and then the, why am I pointing? Oh, I have a pointer. She has the kind of curves here, and then they kind of get a little thick here, and then they run into her shin guards, and then they run into her shoes. And that's how she looks in the comics. And then you go and look at the fucking Hasbro one, and it's like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, how did we get from like this to this? Like, you can clearly tell like no fucks were given with this. They just kind of threw stuff together and were like, okay, this looks fine. Boom, $20. And yeah, it's just like, even me and my painting skills, like repainting, or I guess painting skills to repaint that head, just like, oh my god. Like her torso, it's too thin, like there's no like curves or anything, and she's got the gummy legs, and her legs are like all sculpted thin and stuff, and it doesn't look like proportionate to the rest of her body. She looks like she's built like a, I don't know, like a Slim Jim or something like that. It's really strange. And it's like even her shin guards are just like, wow, like that's the best you could do. And then MAFEX is like, you know, hold my beer, or, you know, like, back the fuck up, Hasbro, let's show you how it's done. And they did a really good job. They even went and got the actual pink for her shoes, right? They just went with like kind of a light kind of bubblegum pink, and then here they went with a hot pink, so that's kind of cool. You can see the two pinks are different as well, and like you can even see here where her little, I guess her little buckles here are supposed to be sculpted, and then here it's just like, okay, you can kind of see she's kind of got some, you know, something going on there, and then here it's just like, oh my god, what is going on, man? It's like, oh oh man. And then her pouches are like overly fucking massive, sculpted, and her belt is like real thin, and then this one here, it's like sculpted to her waist, so it's not jingling around and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, it just looks way better as a figure, you know what I mean? But then this is like 20 compared to like 60, so it's like, you know, there's a $40 bump up, but it's like, you know what I mean? Clearly MAFEX gets the win on the sculpt and stuff like that, if we're comparing it for that. In terms of the paint, everything seems to be really good. I know people had issues with some bleeding with the pink to the white. I haven't seen any issues. I mean, we can get a little bit closer here to try to look for some issues here with her, but I haven't seen any issues with any bleeding or anything like that. Like, everything seems to be really nicely done. Like, everything looks really clean. Like, I don't see any bleeding or anything like that on mine, so I must have just got like the perfect copy of this figure. So, you know, that is dope. And then they even went and did the pink in her hair. You can see I tried to do it with mine, and you know, clearly because I'm using a different head, and I was trying to get the style of, you know, how Gwen's hair is supposed to be. And in the comics it actually looks kind of higher than what it is here, but I think it's mostly the pink is like hidden on the inside of her hair here. So it's mostly just yellow here, but I bet if you pop this head off and you look underneath there, it's gonna be more of that. But I mean, yeah, man, they got the pink, they got the right color of pink going on there. Like, I'll even show you some pictures of, you know, right here of what she's supposed to look like in the comics, and it's just like, holy shit, man. Like, MAFEX just straight nailed it with this figure. Like, oh man, that fucking Hasbro one, man. Ooh. But anyway, yeah, man, just MAFEX nailed it. So that is essentially it for the sculpt in the paint section. Let's talk about her accessories. Okay, so I do apologize if everything looks kind of weird.
here, and that everything's all blacked out in the back. I used this little setup here for a stairway shot with my extreme sets, Dio with the stair pieces. I used that with this Gwenpool to take a picture, and I didn't change it back to the original setup, so whenever I do the next review it'll go back to the normal background. So I do apologize if that's an inconvenience, but I've had to reshoot this part probably about 3 times now, because the first time I did it I didn't realize that there was a QC issue with one of the heads with this figure. And then the second time I did it, I went through the accessories and I didn't really point out why they're specific to this character, even though that was something I mentioned when I did the recording for the intro to this review. Because a lot of people that have reviewed this figure, or I guess a few people that have reviewed this figure, at least that I've seen, haven't really gone into detail with these accessories and really explained why they're, why they're essential to her character. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, or let the cat out of the bag, or whatever your terminology may be in terms of what the QC issue was. And I already had taken pictures of the QC issue with the backpack, the penguin backpack, which I'll put in here. But yeah, in terms of the elephant in the room, it's this head here. So if you can see this head and this head, there's clearly something different going on here. And I don't know if this is something that's been happening recently, but I've never had this happen to me with either a Figuarts figure or another MAFEX figure. I've never had this happen to me before. But as you can see, there's a little piece of plastic that's filled in here, and then the center of it's kind of hollowed out so it can fit on that little neck peg, and then it's kind of has those little grooves on the side. As you can see, I had to fill this head in with blue tack because MEDICOM didn't put that piece in there, and I don't know how this got past quality control for some reason. It's just like somehow someone was asleep at the wheel and didn't realize that, the 3 heads that are supposed to come with this figure, the 2 alternative heads, one of them has this neck peg in like this one here, and then this one doesn't. It's like, oh man. So yeah, was very, very pissed off when I found out about that, but luckily I kept the straight, kept the straight head and was able to fix it. So, and the other issue, like I said, was the issue with the backpack, which when I get to that I'll pull up a picture of what that looked like. So in terms of her other head, she has her happy head, which I actually like this head. I like all 3 of the heads because it does fit her character really well. They actually went and sculpted some teeth in there, and yeah, it looks good. They even did the little lines across there, so that's cool. And the little dip in the back. So that's kind of cool that they did it. Then, like I said, the scared face here, which I do like this face too. It's probably one of my favorites because there are certain areas and certain issues in her comic. She does end up having the scared face Usually when she's running away, like when she tried to fight MODOK and he pulled out all of the weapons in his chair, she was like running away from him as she was running away from him as he was trying to like kill her with his like minigun that's attached to his chair, and he had like a bunch of missiles and all kinds of different weapons and stuff. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I love that they went ahead and included that. And then her other head, which I really like, is her alternative head, which I really like this one too, because it's something that was lacking with the Marvel Legends one. And I think MAFEX did a good job with this. At least there's no QC issues with this. The neck peg is in there, and she's got the pink highlights down there, and everything else is really nicely painted. So yeah, the eyes look good too, and yeah, I really like that. Now in terms of her backpacks, she does come with 3 different backpacks. A lot of people didn't really point this out when they did their reviews, so I'm going to point it out. So she does come with 3 different ones. She comes with her shark backpack, her penguin backpack, and then the sheaths for the swords on her back. And all 3 of them you can just slide on like a regular backpack, and they all feel really pliable. Now I think out of the 3 here, I love the shark one with her for some reason. It's just kind of cool because there are certain parts in the comic where she has this. It'll, depending on whatever issue it is, she'll have the shark backpack, or she'll have the penguin backpack, or she'll have this. So really, you're getting 3 different versions. So depending on whatever version you want to display her with, it works because they're all pretty much comic accurate, which I think is cool. Now something that I wanted to point out with the penguin backpack is you can see that I'm gonna have to get, I'm sorry, they have to keep switching the lighting here. So as you can see, the picture up here is what the penguin backpack looked like. It was really bad. The eye was clearly not painted correctly, and it looked really weird, and I didn't like that. So I went ahead and tried to repaint it the best that I could, and that's what it ended up looking like. I mean, it looks better, but it kind of looks off. It looks like he's like looking to the left or something, but I mean, it is better than having an eye that's like a centimeter above the other one. So I'll take this. Look, you can see I kind of fucked up the paint over here when I went to acetone that black paint off. So if you do have any QC issues with that and you don't want to go through the hassle of paying like almost $20, PayPaling MEDICOM $20 or more to get, for shipping costs, to get replacement parts, and you're good enough with your hands to repaint that stuff, just be careful. If you're going to acetone that stuff, just be careful that we don't make that little mistake that I did with that. Now with her katanas here, something that's cool is that you can actually remove the bleeds from here, and they are on really thin pegs, so do be careful with that. And that's so that you can actually have her hold her actual swords, so it looks like she's actually got her swords here, which are cool because on both the sheathed, the dual sheaths, and on the actual swords themselves, the pink diamonds on here are actually really nicely painted. I think probably where the painting got kind of meh is on the blades a little bit, so you do have to deal with that, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, she's usually using her swords. I know a lot of people had issues with, why didn't she come with guns? She should have guns. She's like female Deadpool. Not essentially. She's got her own superpowers, or she's got her own ability, so she doesn't need guns. And she wouldn't even be able to hold guns anyway because she doesn't have trigger fingers. So even though you see her use guns a few times in the comics, but you don't really see her do that. She's mostly fighting. And then she comes with her cell phone, which I think is dope that she came with this. The Marvel Legends one came with it too, but it didn't look this good. I'm actually holding it upside down. The way to tell the difference if you're holding it upside down is you'll look towards the bottom and it'll have the little area where you would plug the charger in. And this little piece up here that looks like a home button, that's the front camera, and then on the other side I think is the or actually I might have it the wrong way. That might be the home button and then this might be the camera. So it is supposed to replicate an iPhone, and she can actually hold it in her selfie hands, which I'm going to get into her hands real quick. So she does come with 7 sets of hands. She comes with these scared jazz hands that I have on her now, and then she comes with all of these. So she comes with a set of kind of open hands, a set of peace sign hands, a set of pointing hands, a set of selfie hands, a pair of fists, and a pair of closed fists but with the holes in it so you can hold the katanas. And then she does come with this piece here, which I think is pretty cool, and it's something that I wish the Hasbro Gwenpool came with, which is her hooded down look. Now, the only downfall with this hooded look is that you can't have it with the backpack on. So you kind of have to either have her with the backpack on with the unmasked head, or you have the backpack off and the hood down with the unmasked head. But either look looks really good. But overall, I think her accessories are pretty strong. Gwenpool is one of those characters where she does a lot of gesturing, so of course she's gonna have a lot of solid, gesturing hands. And that's something people didn't really point out in her, when they did their versions or their reviews of her. So I do want to point that out because she does do a lot of gesturing, and I'll show pieces of her panel or her comics in here. That way you guys can see what I'm talking about when I talk about her gesturing, and you'll get to see one that I was able to find with her in her Sharky backpack. Yeah, it's a really solid figure when it comes to accessories, and it really makes me wonder what the hell happened with MAFEX, because it seemed like they were giving us a lot of stuff and then they started gypping us. They started raising the price and then giving us less stuff. So yeah, with that being said, we are gonna talk about her articulation now. Okay, let me fix this real quick. I'm gonna back this up just a little bit. Okay. Move it over a little bit here. And fix this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're going to take a look at her articulation. So in terms of her articulation, head's on a barbell joint, so you get movement up here, and you get movement down here in the neck, so she can look down this far. She can look up this far. Okay, and she's got side to side, so she's got some attitude, a little bit of sass. Her arms are on a butterfly joint, so they move forward this far and they move back this far. Her arm does rotate 360. It is still a little tight, as I did just get her today, so this is like a live kind of thing. So 360, her arms go up about, like, the max I would say is this far. Maybe you could push it a little bit more, but there's that. No bicep swivel, or actually, I mean there is movement there, but it's really just going to be whatever movement's in here, because there's the joint that's in here, and then here, and then here. So I guess, yeah, a little bit of swivel there, or rotation, I should say. Then there is some articulation down here, so a little bit of rotation. There's a single joint, but it is a pretty far joint, so it's a 90 degree right there. Then down here in the wrist, you do get a 360. That's also on a ball joint, so you can go up and down here. And if you rotate it, you can go side. Should go, there we go. Still, like I said, some of the joints are still, so you can go side to side. In terms of her ab crunch, she has rotation up here, and then, okay, so it's just pretty much all up here then. So, like I said, she can crunch down this far, and then crunch back all the way like that. So she's a limbo champion for sure. And then she also has movement side to side here. Now, in terms of her movement in her legs here, she can move her legs up about this far. Feels like something we have separated. No, okay. So I think it was just the drop down joints. I think, give me 1 second. No, okay. So that's what happened. Oh, okay. So I was actually wrong on that. My bad. So there is a movement down here. It was just stuck. So she does a movement down here, so she can actually crunch forward this much, and then she can crunch back all the way that much. So she, like I said, limbo champion here, and then you get movement that much here, and then that much here. So she is really getting her exercises in. So in terms of her articulation in her legs, it can go up about this far. You can go back about, I want to say, to the max, probably this far. She does have some thigh rotation. She has a single joint in the knee, but it is more than a 90 degree, so it's not too bad. You do get some rotation here. Then in terms of her foot, it is on a ball joint, I believe. Because of the way that her shin guards are sculpted, you can move it back this far, move it forward this far. There is ankle pivot in there, and then she also has a toe joint, which is cool. So overall, her articulation's not bad. Again, she's more of a like comedical type of thing in her, you know, her powers are that she can really break the fourth wall more than Deadpool can, just because, you know, her whole thing, like I mentioned earlier, is that she has knowledge of the Marvel Universe, and she's actually able to literally break through the panels of the comics, so she can actually hop out of, you know, the comic panels and run across the pages and actually jump into another section. It's really strange, but it's really cool. But I'm really happy with the way they have her articulation. It's a little bit limited in the, you know, in the feet, but then again, you're not going to really be doing a whole bunch with her in terms of fighting and stuff like that. I mean, you could. I mean, there's enough articulation in the legs. I actually didn't even try a split to see. Okay, so yeah, you could, if you wanted to, you probably could get her in a roundhouse kick here real quick. Usually this is the thing going on here. So, okay, yeah, so she could do it. She could do a roundhouse kick. Question is, can I keep her steady though on this roundhouse kick? Probably can if I mess around with it a little bit. Oh dang, snap. Okay. But yeah, that's cool. And then this here can actually move down, so if you need to cover up the joints, you can do that. But yeah, I think she has some really good articulation. It's definitely better than the fucking Marvel Legends one. Like I said, man, I'm gonna rip that figure a new asshole, because it's like, it's lacking so much. Like, I mean, this was the articulation for the hold on, let me move Gwen over here. This was the movement. Like, nothing, like absolutely nothing going on in that. Like you see what I mean? Like, nothing is going on in there. So yeah, articulation is on point, so pretty happy about that. So with that out of the way, let's get into my final thoughts.
Okay, so for my final thoughts on the MAFEX Gwenpool is this. I think overall she's a solid figure. She's become one of my favorites to take pictures with, and that was kind of one of the goals that I wanted to do when I wanted to get her the first time, was I wanted to use her for toytography, and then of course review her, because like I said, a lot of people thrash this fucking figure and I don't understand why. I mean, this is probably the best like comic, well, I wouldn't say the best comic, because you have the MAFEX Spider-Man, but in terms of a fucking Gwenpool figure that's actually like comic accurate down to the T, this is it, man. I mean, you know, you have to really be a Gwenpool fan to appreciate this, and I think that's what turned a lot of people off from this figure, and the fact that you have these folks that are, you know, in the higher subscriber counts and are big heads in the communities and their groups and stuff, that, you know, just buy these figures just because it's, you know, it's the hottest shit that's coming out and everyone wants it and everyone wants to get their hands on it and yada yada yada, and then getting it, not knowing who the character is, not doing your research on her, you know, stuff like that, you know, really hurts, you know, your review on a figure, because you know, at least I gave you, you know, the basic information, you know, about this character and let you know some things about her and stuff like that. So hopefully this video was informative, and if you were deciding on getting this figure, hopefully it changed your perspective, whether you were against this figure or not, but kind of let you know a little bit more about this figure, gave you a little bit more of an in-depth look, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me. I do apologize if I sound tired. I am. I stayed up busting my ass on this review. That way, you know, you guys had something to watch as still working things out with the Skull Silent podcast, because our episodes are like 3-4 hours long, and it won't let me transfer onto my phone and then transfer that to YouTube, so I'm gonna have to cut some of these in parts, and if that's the case, I'll hopefully have both parts up in the same span of time. That way it's not like I left it hanging or anything. But yeah, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. I do have some Mezco figures that I need to review, and some more import stuff, and I already shot my Company 76 update, so look out for that on the way. And yeah, with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Again, thank you for the support. Even though I haven't really been doing much on this channel, I do appreciate the support, and hopefully we can end this year strong. But yeah, that's it for me. Again, thank you very much for watching, and Action Figure Addict 112 out.